Welcome back. News Talk 770 AM, 92.5 FM, WVNN. Will Hampson filling in for Yaffee today. Appreciate you all tuning in. Want to get right to it with our next guest. A lot to talk about. We appreciate him joining. Political editor at Breitbart News. This guy knows everything going on in Washington and across the country. Bradley Jaye. Bradley, thanks for joining us this morning. How are you?
Great. Join you, brother. Looking forward to talking with you.
Absolutely. So let's get right into it. I want to start here with the SAVE Act and kind of move into to some other stuff going around the country. Tommy Tuberville came out, I think it was yesterday, on the Benny Johnson show, and effectively said, we have way too many rhinos in the Senate, and these are people, of course, the ones you know, right? I mean, you've got the Murkowskis, you've got the Tillises, you've got the Mitch McConnells of the world, the ones that we know. But privately, Bradley, there are a lot of Republicans who will campaign and publicly claim to be MAGA and then get up to D.C., and not only will they vote with Democrats, Bradley, but I think the thing more importantly is that a lot of them are publicly for some of these things like the SAVE Act, and privately behind the scenes they're trying to kill it. Is that the case here? I mean, are there Republicans that are telling us I am all about this who are behind the scenes actually working against the SAVE Act?
There's no question about it. Look, the Senate Republican Conference is just a snake hole. It's terrible. When I first began working in the Senate in 2009 for Senator Sessions, it was bad, and Sessions was definitely the most, until Cruz got there, the most hated senator there because he pushed back on just it's amazing. I don't think people appreciate the fact that the Senate Majority Leader's job is to keep expectations as low as possible. That's what Thune has done with the SAVE Act, and part of that is running out the clock. The Senate calendar is so important, and anything that the Senate leader does not want to do, he pushes until the end of the 2-year term of the Congress so that there can be things that come up that supersede it, that get moved to the front burner, they find other ways to grind out time. That's what Thune has been doing with the SAVE Act. Now he's scheduled this show vote next week where he says, we're going to put Democrats on the record so the American... No, Thune, no. We know where Democrats stand on it because they all are very vocal in proudly opposing it. What the American people want, what Republicans want, is to expose the Republicans who are against this, who are doing nothing but giving lip service to it, who say, like John Cornyn, that they'll do whatever it takes to pass the bill because they support Trump's agenda, knowing that there are going to be a few other senators, the Collins, the Murkowskis, the McConnells, the Tom Tillises of the world, who will block the bill from going forward. So this is all a dog and pony show. It's pathetic. Thune is rightly facing a lot of criticism. He does not have that built-in goodwill with his own conference that McConnell had after a decade plus. So Thune is in serious trouble right here because, again, he hasn't earned that goodwill. This is a point where conservatives need to push hard and extract all they can and pressure the Thunes of the world and his cohort, the Cornyns, because this is an important agenda item, the Save America Act, and it can actually be done. And all the Republicans' reasons for not doing it are pathetic. They don't hold water, and they need to be exposed.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to get back to Cornyn in a minute, but it's amazing to me when it comes to John Thune, Bradley. I mean, this was a guy who asked for this job. He wanted this job. He wanted to be Senate Majority Leader, and now you have a big-ticket item that the President of the United States has said, this is my issue. This is the one thing. This is the most important thing to me right now. And it's amazing to me as you see the response is just, we don't have the votes. What do you want me to do? It's like you want me to whip votes? You want me to try and like convince people in my party as majority leader to vote for a bill? Are you crazy? I mean, the response is just like, oh, shucks, guys, sorry, there's just nothing I can do. And I just don't think the American people are going to buy that.
I think you're right. And for so long, really until LBJ changed the dynamics of the majority leader job, majority leader was a terrible job. You had all this responsibility, or seeming responsibility to set the agenda on the Senate floor, but you didn't really have anything to threaten your own members with. A lot of majority leaders now continue to parrot that line, even though that's not true. As that position has evolved over the year, there's plenty that they can take. Look at Jeff Sessions. He got his budget chairmanship taken away from him because McConnell convinced Enzi, who had a much better committee than Budget Committee. Budget Committee is like a C committee. Enzi was going to be the chairman of the Help Committee, which is a very powerful committee. It was going to be a lot of work, though. McConnell convinced him to instead take the lesser committee just to keep Jeff Sessions out, because Jeff Sessions was actually going to call these budget points of orders and call out these big spending Republicans for violating their agreements, for going along with Democrats and not fighting all of these, a wink and a nod earmark agreements. So like this kind of stuff does happen. There are things that majority leaders can do. Thune just saying that he doesn't have the votes, that doesn't hold water. If he does it, well, okay. Let's find out exactly what those votes are. Let's move this bill to the floor and actually make a parliamentary request or do whatever's necessary to try to alter the rules of the filibuster. All you need, presumably, is 50.
Every day, excessive delays and denials from big insurers keep patients from accessing the care they need. And when care is urgent, these delays can be disastrous. These practices cost billions in wasteful spending, driving up costs for American families. But while big insurers put up barriers, America's hospitals and health systems are in your corner, navigating endless reviews and appeals to get you the care you need when you need it most. It's time to curb these harmful practices and put the focus back on patients. Brought to you by the Coalition to Strengthen America's Healthcare.
What would you do if your online store converted 36% more shoppers? You could take 36% more vacation.
Another pina colada? Yes, please.
Open a new retail location with 36% more square feet.
Fantastic.
Hire 36% more help.
You're hired and you're hired.
Shopify has the world's best converting checkout, up to 36% better than other e-commerce platforms. What you do with those extra sales is up to you. Switch to Shopify today at shopify.com/listen and get a $1 trial. Shopify.com/listen.
Love saving money? With the Royal Farms Rofo Rewards app, you'll unlock exclusive deals every day. And when you pay with Rofo Pay, you'll save even more on Royal Farms top quality fuel. Every purchase earns you points. Redeem them for free favorites, our world famous chicken, fresh brewed coffee, refreshing fountain drinks, and so much more. Hungry? The Rofo Rewards app makes ordering food fast, easy, and ready when you are. Join today. Just text Rofo to 43751. Royal Farms, real fresh, real fast.
+1 to do that. So it would only take 4 senators to object to that. As I said, as we talked about, you've got Murkowski, McConnell, Tillis, and Collins who would likely object to doing that. But okay, let's get those other 49 on the record as actually supporting doing that. So next year, if we get more senators, you're going to have Tillis, obviously, Tillis and McConnell retire. Collins, I actually do hope she wins over the Democrat, but she might not be there. Let's actually move the ball forward, because this is a legacy item. This is not one of those messaging bills that the Senate does. Well, let's see if we can pass this week, and if not, well, we'll just throw it away and move on to the next thing. No, this SAVE Act, or as it's become, the Save America Act, this is a legitimate long-term item for the Republicans. President Trump has made it clear that this is his priority, rightly so. It's taken a long time to get to this point where the Senate would even considering holding a vote on it in different forms. The House has been passing this bill for several years now. So there has been progress, but we can't let that progress stop by Senator Thune holding up a show vote, lying about what its purpose is, which is really just to protect his own members who don't want to change the filibuster right now. They'd rather let Democrats change it and let Democrats move their agenda through the Senate so that Republican senators can have some imaginary moral high ground that they're protecting a Senate that died long ago. But we cannot let Thune do that. We have to keep the pressure on him. It's critically important right now.
And Bradley, it's also amazing to me when you're watching some of these dynamics in the Senate, where you've got some of these senators, right? Like there's a government shutdown, and some of these senators come out of the woodwork and say, you know, I'm the deal maker senator. It's my job to get a deal done. And they have no issue going and working with Democrats to try and get a deal done, even if that means, you know, giving them a vote on expanding socialized medicine subsidies. But you've got some of these Republicans that love to be in the center of these deals. Then it's time for them to go and make deals with their own colleagues and get some of these things across the finish line. And they're nowhere to be found. These deal maker senators that just they seemingly they're good to work with Democrats to get some of these things done, but when it's time to convince some of their Republican colleagues, it's like, yeah, I'm for it, but there's nothing I can do. It's just so infuriating, and I don't understand the message that you guys are willing to work with Democrats on some of these issues, but then when it's time to go and get this done, you can't do it. You're nowhere to be found. I'm sorry, we just can't. We can't find a deal here. It's dead. It's done. I don't know what you want me to do. And that message is not going to be what turns out Republican voters for the midterm elections. You guys saying, sorry, you know, we're happy to work with Democrats, but when it comes to, you know, saving our elections, there's just nothing we can do but go save our skin in November at the midterms, please. How is that message going to work?
I think it's important that the American people, particularly that Alabamians, understand that the old Senate ways of deal making are done. The modern Democrat Party, there is no making deals with them unless Republicans lose. Our own Senator Katie Britt, look, I like Katie. If you read that New York Times piece that she granted it to the New York Times and it ended up being a hit piece, I don't know what the calculus was there in granting the New York Times access to her living room. I can tell you she doesn't reach out to Breitbart News very, very, very often. But it came, if you read those Democrat senators talking about her, it seemed to me like they see her as a mark. Whenever they want a Republican to take Democrat priorities to the president, they go to Katie Britt. Now you look at right now, we're at 27 days into a DHS shutdown. Katie Britt is the top appropriator for DHS, and she's upset that these Democrats that she's been carrying water for, well, all of a sudden now they don't want to come talk with her about funding DHS. I hope that she learns a lesson here. And look, if Republicans don't kill the filibuster, the Democrats will. Chuck Schumer has made that very clear. John Cornyn, who is apparent for a few hours at least, found Jesus on the filibuster. He went back on his word within a couple hours about a cup of coffee. But look, the filibuster is going away, as he acknowledged. Democrats are going to kill it. They are very proud about wanting to kill it. It was just since I believe it's 2022 when every single Democrat except the two independents who caucused with them, or two of the three independents who caucused with them, voted to keep it. Every other Democrat voted to kill it. They're proud of it. They're going to do it. Their base demands it. And importantly, their base also does not let them negotiate with Republicans anymore. So, look, even if you do so out of a longing for the Senate of yesteryear or out of a goodwill intent to actually move the ball forward and make some deals that benefit your state or your country, look, Republicans, that's not going to happen anymore. We have to be clear-eyed on who we're dealing with. These Democrats, look, these aren't the Democrats of yesteryear where they think, oh, well, I think that we need to spend a little bit more money on food stamps. No, they're trying to trans your kindergartner, and if you protest about it or even demand that you have the right to be informed about it, they will throw you in jail. These are the evil people that we are dealing with, and any Democrat who runs with a D beside their name consents to that because they have to get into office. They are guilty by association. These are bad people. They cannot be negotiated with. We cannot carry water for them. The stakes are too high, and anyone hiding behind John Thune's ridiculous notion right now that, we're putting Democrats on the record about the Save America Act, when we already know where they stand, is complicit in all this. We need people who are actually going to fight the real fights and not just project to the American people that they're fighting these imaginary battles that don't matter at all.
Bradley, we got to get a quick break in here. Can you stay for one more segment? I'd love to talk a little bit more about John Cornyn.
I would love to.
Awesome. We're going to get a quick break in here, but we will be right back on the other side. This is Will Hampson filling in on the Yaffee program. We'll be right back.
It's the Yaffee program on WVNN.
Welcome back to the Yaffee program on WVNN. Want to get right back into it. Joined on the line here by Breitbart News political editor Bradley Jaye. Bradley, I want to ask you this. We're seeing a lot on John Cornyn, the Texas Senate race. And every single time a Republican comes out, a Republican voter comes out and says, if you don't do X, Y, Z, we're going to hold you accountable. I always laugh a little bit. But this is a chance to hold accountable someone who has been a pretty terrible Republican. What do you think the chances are that we finally see a Republican who has voted against the Second Amendment, for amnesty, some really, really bad things? What do you think the chances are that we finally see a Republican held accountable?
Well, you just, that's the tip of the iceberg. Just wait. There's John Cornyn's record is continuing to be exposed, and I think in the next several days we're going to continue to learn a lot more. Here's what we know right now. John Cornyn was releasing, and John Cornyn allied groups were releasing poll after poll after poll leading up to the runoff, leading up to the primary. They're not releasing any now. That tells you that they are not very good. There was a Democrat-aligned poll that came out just a couple days ago that showed that even if Trump were to endorse Cornyn, Paxton would still win by a point. That's very, very bad news for Cornyn. At this point, I don't know that Trump will endorse. He had said a day or two after the primary, I believe it was Wednesday, Trump said, look, I like Cornyn and Paxton. I plan to endorse one of them. I'm going to ask the other one to drop out so that we don't have to waste a bunch of money on this runoff. Well, what did Paxton do the next day? Paxton selflessly said, look, this isn't about me. I actually want to save America. If John Cornyn will stop blocking the filibuster and will actually do what's necessary to get the Save America Act to President Trump's desk to sign, I'll drop out the dadgum race. Wow, what a brilliant move. I think, and as CNN and I believe New York Times and others have been reporting over the past several days, that likely triggered such a grassroots explosion in support for Paxton, moved so many people who were on the fence or maybe weren't that animated about voting to Paxton's cause, that Trump is not likely to endorse in that race anymore. And I do believe, as has been reported, that he was leaning towards Cornyn as a favor to John Thune. Not because he, of course, is aligned with Cornyn, because Cornyn has endorsed his agenda, of course. But that is a major game changer in that race. Look, anything could happen. President Trump could wake up one morning, or we could get a 3 a.m. Truth Social post that he's going to endorse Cornyn. It's possible. You don't know. But I think it's clear that Ken Paxton is in the catbird seat. He spent John Cornyn spent $70 million in that primary. John Cornyn and his allied groups alone, their spending made this the most expensive primary in the history of the nation. What did that get him? It got him a little over a point ahead of Ken Paxton. This is the incumbent now. John Cornyn is the incumbent. He finished just a little over a point ahead of Ken Paxton, a man who spent about $4 million. Unbelievable discrepancy in the amount of money per vote. The bottom line is I don't know how much time you spend in Texas, but John Cornyn is not what Texas voters are looking for, not in a primary. I think he's going to get his britches pulled down and spanked real hard in the runoff, regardless of what Trump does. And I think that Paxton will have more voters turn out for him in the general election than Cornyn will, because nobody's motivated to get out and vote for him. Trump isn't going to be on the ballot. You have to give voters a reason to actually get out there and vote. That's what these old school folks like John Cornyn, who rely on that consultant cartel in Washington to get them across the finish line election after election, they don't understand, partly because they look down on the American people. I can tell you, I have to spend way too much time in Washington, D.C. The people here, they look down on you. They think that, you don't know everything about politics as I do. You're a plebeian, just some peasant. They think that because somebody doesn't know how the filibuster works or how Rule 22 of the Senate works, that you're somehow beneath them. It's garbage, and the fact that they look down upon the people tells you why they're so bad at actually appealing to the people. John Cornyn, I will predict that he is going to go down, that Ken Paxton is going to get here. And I'll tell you, if he does get to the Senate, he is the kind of senator that we need, because he's not going to be one of these young, ambitious senators who wants to climb the ladder of a broken Senate so that they can sit atop the destruction of America. No, he's going to want to break and rebuild the Senate and align it around the interests of the American people. That's what this country needs.
Amen, Bradley. I pray that you're right, and we will see Paxton up there in the Senate. We appreciate you. We got to get a break here, but always appreciate you joining. This is Will Hampson filling in for Yaffee. We'll be right back after a quick break.
You're listening to Yaffee on WVNN.